particular special is called chuffing skid stains and chuffing aeroplanes. And basically, you know, there was an old up at airport chuffing all sorts, chuffing Dreamliner. More like chuffing Nightmare chuffing liner, never mind bloody Dreamliner. Chuffing bloke turns up, he's chuffing crawlers. Started talking about chuffing septic tanks. Spent half an hour with chuffing Saw Balan, chuffing night before she'd had 5 lagers, 3 wines and chuffing 10 oozos. Chuffing Cutty Sark. Or put a little splash of it in your chuffing PG tips, you know what I mean? If for a chuffing right royal treat. Hello sunshines, sweethearts. Welcome to another instalment of Chuffing VR Quick Shots. This is a special. We're doing it once again it's a long time since we've done a video down here in the Chuffing Dungeon. We used to do all them like kind of spooky ones about bloody ghosts and supernatural, all that chuffing chime from down there. But I just thought, Charlotte and Charlie's in the house, they're upstairs occupying quarters like so. We don't want to get under the chuffing feet, you know what I mean? But this is a special. We are going to do some chuffing whiskey. The reason I'm utilising this is so I can see my paperwork, because it's chuffing down here. It's chuffing well spooky. But yeah, they're upstairs, so I don't want to disrupt them. But this particular special is called Chuffing Skid Stains and Chuffing Aeroplanes. It's a roundup of all chuffing things Rhodesian and chuffing Greek. Because we just got back, and basically, you know, there was an old up at airport chuffing all sorts, chuffing Dreamliner. More like chuffing Nightmare chuffing liner, never mind bloody Dreamliner. But a little bit more on that later on. Right, but, yeah, basically like I was saying, me, Charlotte and Charlie, we've been chilling out with the chuffing Rhodesians. If you can call it chilling out, because we spent most of the time sweating and chuffing knackers off. But really, really good holiday. We was basically stopping at a place called the Eden Rock chuffing hotel, chuffing resort. Great hotel, great location in California. Great staff, great food. They love kids. It was very, very relaxed. Half the time when you were quite sprawling grounds. And half the time when you were chuffing, yomping up and chuffing down between chuffing restaurant and restaurant, jumping bar and bar, getting chuffing pissed. Or going to swimming pool or sea. Half the time you didn't hardly see anybody. But when you got to the main like kind of chuffing epicentres, there were lots of chuffing people there. It was good. Really, I'd go back. Cons I wrote down. One day I sat down these bloody swimming pools, this particular swimming pool. Sun's beaming down, gentle breeze. You can see sea. Beautiful chuffing saltwater chuffing swimming pool. Lots of chuffing bronze chuffing bodies lozzicking around, chuffing strutting about, you know what I mean? Nice things. Chuffing bloke turns up, he's chuffing crawlers. Starts talking about chuffing septic tanks. Of all things, not army tanks or chuffing tank tops or chuffing fish tanks, but tanks that are basically chuffing septic. So that were nice to chuffing over bloody here. And people talking about it being too hot. This is chuffing Rhodes, Greece in August. It's not chuffing Alaska, it's a chuffing no-brainer, isn't it? Go to chuffing Reykjavik next time, for God's sake. One person on about it being too chuffing Greek. Bloody hell, you're not in bloody Bulgaria, or England, or Ireland, or chuffing Mars. You're in bloody Rhodes, mate. It's going to be chuffing Greek, isn't it? And somebody else complaining about it being full of tourists. It's a chuffing holiday resort. You know, you're not going to find chuffing militia there, or bloody bubble dancers, or, you know, mud wrestlers. They're going to be tourists, aren't they? It's an hotel, isn't it? Saltwater swimming pool, great for floating and reserving your chuffing energy and all that kind of stuff. You know, I could swim in there for ages and not get chuffing tired, but very, very bad for the old chuffing, proverbial chuffing sweetmeats. Spent half a holiday with chuffing Saw Balan because I was chuffing floating about in there. There were more salt in the swimming pool than there were in chuffing briny, in chuffing sea. The Aegean Sea, I think it was. Wrote down here, it was saltier than a portion of chuffing open seas and chuffing Harry Rams and chuffing chips. That's how salty it was. And a woman as well, it's quite funny. Charlotte told me about this. But basically, a woman was blaming the saltwater swimming pool for a chuffing headache she had. Had nothing to do with it, like blindingly hot. And chuffing night before, she'd had 5 lagers, 3 wines and chuffing 10 oozos. Nothing to do with that, but there's salt in the chuffing water giving her an headache. Me and our Charlotte and Charlie, we had massages. And Charlotte went for, there was a bit of pressure applied, but she went for a Swedish one. So relaxing. gently soothing and massaging all the chuffing tension out of the chuffing spinal column and all that kind of stuff. She really enjoyed it. Charlie went for, obviously, had a gentle one because he's only got a small body. And the people that massaged Charlotte and Charlie would, I think it was the same bird. He's chuffing a bit of crumpy, this woman. Person that massaged me, big chuffing strapping bloke. I had chuffing hands like chuffing shovel. He says, you want a relaxing one or you want a therapeutic one? And I had a few chuffing aches and pains, so I said, chuffing, cut loose, mate. Cut loose. Bloody hell, he weren't half messing about. He was right tag. Ended up with a few bruises, right? Chuffing shoulder blades. Done a good job, but when he was massaging me at one point, the way he was doing it, I think he was getting me confused with chuffing side of beef. And I think Chef thought the same, because I looked up a couple of times and there was a guy there with a chuffing mushroom hat on. And he had one of those bloody pepper pots. And I'm sure, I can't testify this, I couldn't say this in a chuffing court of law, but I am absolutely 99% positive at one point when this guy was doing me calves, massaging my calves, this bloke gave it a couple of turns on chuffing pepper pot on me chuffing arse cheeks, chuffing arse crack. I think it was seasoning me. I was halfway tempted to let him have me, because I've been chuffing marinating myself all chuffing week. In bloody whiskey and chuffing wine, lager and chuffing peanuts and largest pina coladas. Had a chuffing taste of the chuffing right royal treat, I'll tell you that for bloody now. Bit of an airport chuffing disaster. When holiday was over, basically we were meant to fly back on this particular night, about chuffing midnight. And then we get a text message while we're in chuffing taxi. That right chuffing sweatbox, that taxi, oh. Bloody hell, it was about 80 degrees outside and his chuffing turned heating on. Bloody hell, I think he was trying to bloody cook me as well. I felt chuffing well nauseated. But yeah, text message come through and it basically was saying that we're going to be delayed a couple of hours. We're thinking about our Charlie. You know, bad enough in flying back at midnight, getting home at 4 o'clock in the morning. But flying back at 2 and get back at 6, and then 2 hours to get back to the house. But then we get there, gets around the chuffing corner, there's like shitloads of chuffing people hurtling towards us. And we're, oh, it's been bloody cancelled and this. Apparently, what we heard on Grapevine, this was two with this, is that basically one of the cabin staff, one of the cabin crew, went missing. They'd been at the airport, or in Manchester. They chuffing disappeared. And they couldn't find them, so they couldn't fly because you need them for health and safety. So it got postponed for chuffing days. We ended up in this chuffing other hotel. Better room, actually, than what we had at Eden Rock. But not naming the hotel. It was a good one, but all in all, the chuffing Eden Rock was a better hotel. For me and for Charlie and Charlotte, we all agreed it was a really, really good hotel. But you get talking to people in airports. We met some really, really nice chuffing people, actually. You know, salty chuffing earth characters. When you're in a bit of a chuffing fix and everything's going chuffing tits up, if you're with somebody and they're chuffing flapping about like this and moaning and chuffing, whinging and bellyache, you don't need it. But these people, super chuffing, shelf up, best part of it. But yeah, we got talking at one point about chuffing Italian football and who what best Italian footballer in history. Well, we're from different nations, but this one stuck out with me. And somebody said Miazza. Somebody else said Maldini, and somebody else says chuffing Baggio, the chuffing divine ponytail. Me, they asked me what my opinion was. I says, best footballer, Italian footballer in history, definitely Alberto Balsam. I said, head and shoulders above the rest. I says, he was sleek, fluid, with real chuffing fruit extracts. He was the man. He was the best chuffing dribbler, I'm telling you. But when we actually did fly back, when we finally flew back, we ended up in chuffing first class. Going in, originally, when we were going from Manchester to chuffing Rhodes, we just flying with bloody rest of everybody, you know, all chuffing sweaty armpits and bloody big hairy knackers and all chuffing lot. Going back though, there were hardly anybody on plane. We got chuffing upgraded to chuffing first class, extra leg room. I took my shoes and socks off at one point. One of air stewardesses come over and she chuffing larger than me two chuffing bunions. It was chuffing, absolutely chuffing, beautiful. But now, we're going into now, this is Big Al. It may be the chuffing holiday special, it may be the chuffing skid stains and chuffing airplanes, but we're going to do a whiskey tasting. And the one I've chosen is because, primarily, at this Eden chuffing rock, they were supping Cutty Sark, they were doing Jim Beam, they were doing Dewar's white label, and they were doing another one, I can't remember now. But so, Johnny Walker chuffing red label, that one that all chuffing rock stars used to drink in chuffing 60s before they got into chuffing punch ups. They had all these chuffing ones. But the one I'm doing today, chuffing Cutty Sark. Don't say too much on bottle. Blended Scotch whisky, and it says, the spirit of adventure lives in us all. It's the courage of our convictions that mark the mark of true character and the desire to be different. It is the original easy drinking chuffing Scotch, 40%, 70 ml, blended in Scotland. And I wrote down a few chuffing notes here. Come out apparently this particular one, 19 chuffing 23. I think this particular yellow label, Cutty Sark. It says it's blended with a lot of Glenrothes malt in it at its core. A rounded blend, a little bit of smoke. It's a combination of single malts and grain whiskies. And it's developed primarily, the psychology behind this chuffing bottling. It was developed mainly as a mixer or to be utilised with chuffing cocktails. But it's a tasty little treat. Anyway, so, right, we'll get that put down here. We'll get it chuffing correct. So I just had a little chuffing nip overnight, but I was supping this. Little trick with this, because I'm going to sup it neat, I'm going to tell you what I think. But a few times, first time it happened to me is basically I wanted it chuffing neat, but the waiter, great chuffing Rhodesian chuffing waiter, got confused. He bunged a shitload of chuffing ice in the bottom of this chuffing tumbler, poured this in and then put a slice of chuffing lemon in it. And at first I was chuffing grizzled and belly aching and bloody moaning and chuffing bitching and all sorts. It was nice. It chuffing worked. This would make a great chuffing hot toddy, this. Or put a little splash of it in your chuffing PG tips, you know what I mean? It'd be for a chuffing right royal treat. But we're going to sup it today neat. No mixing, no cocktails, none of that chuffing fancy shit. We're going to have it chuffing as nature chuffing intended. You know what I mean? The big man in the chuffing sky. This is probably how we'd sup it. But it was nice with ice and lemon. On a hot summer's day, chuffing beautiful. Right. So, the Cutty chuffing side, just a little chuffing dabble. Little chuffing dabble. There we go, let's have a little chuffing snort. Okay, move that bloody light out of the way, I can't bloody see it out here. Right. You can smell, the first thing that comes to mind when I'm chuffing snorting on this is basically it's young. You can tell it's a chuffing young'un. But, because it's quite volatile, there's a lot of chuffing alcohol surging up my chuffing coals and nostrils, you know what I mean? There's no denying it. It's a young beast. It's not old. But there's some nice fragrances on it. I can smell some like kind of some vanilla, a little bit of honey. But the main thing that comes through to me personally is that very kind of citrusy chuffing note. Like a kind of lemon with a tiny. That's probably why it went well with lemon, because it's already got some of these like kind of qualities, and it's fruity. There's a fruity note, like a Speyside type chuffing nose to it. You know what I mean? It's a nice little smell. Right, let's get it surging around the old chuffing tonsils. Until we get back to tell you what I think about this bloody Cutty Sark chuffing yellow label bloody blended Scotch whisky. Adios. Here we go. Fruity, zesty, vanilla in fruit end. A bit hot, but not too hot. It's not too volatile. It's quite smooth. You don't have to just use that as a mixer or in a cocktail. It's quite a nice little chuffing drop, is that. Middle of the palate, middle of the taste. When it first gets past that kind of fruity, lemony, honeyed kind of start. A little bit malty. I would say if it has got a weakness, it's got decent mouthfeel as well. It's made my saliva glands operate a little bit. I've had better. It's not thick. It's not particularly that viscous. There's barely no tears on it, but it doesn't taste to me that watery or thin either. I would say when it's let down, I would say is on the back flavour, as it's going down. The finish is. It's not that it's a bad finish. The flavour's there, but it dies off fast. There's not much like happening in my chuffing mouth now. It's calmed down. It's quieted down. What I think has happened with this particular whiskey, this is good whiskey. It's a nice little drop, but like I said, the philosophy behind it was to be utilised for cocktails and mixing and stuff like this. It's got enough about it so that you will be able to taste it in the cocktail that there was spirit in there. And if you got good enough taste buds, you'd realise it was whiskey. But they don't want it overpowering anything. So it's very, very, it's got no spikes to it as this. It's got no spikes, no ups and downs. It's just a gently rounded little chuffing drop. Let's have another little bloody swig. And we'll see what, if anything develops or if it kind of stays on a kind of level. But it's a good level. I'll be supping this, no problem. Chuffing, get bloody tack to get off me chuffing tits with this, don't you worry about it. Right. It's nice. This one is definitely, it was the right whiskey for the place. Like I say, they were pouring this out like it was chuffing tap water in Rhodes. In that chuffing Eden Rock. I went to the bar one night, and it weren't this particular Cutty Sark. I'd had a Cutty Sark already, but I went to this particular bar, and bloke says to me, he says, what do you want? I says, I'll have a chuffing Jewers white label. And I don't know if he like kind of detected in my voice as if I was like kind of bigging it up, or I expected so much chuffing grandiose, because I weren't. I just fancied a Jewers, you know what I mean? Because I'd not had one at that point. I can't, but last time I chuffed up the stuff. So that's for this Jewers. He just like smiled a little bit. He says, it's bloody 10 a penny, this stuff. He says, you know what I mean? He says, we got bloody Jewers coming out of his chuffing hairy armpits. He says, come back another night. He says, you can have chuffing bottles. You know, you right, made me chuckle, and we were just being like kind of, it's like bloody wetter this. Come back another night, you can have chuffing bottle. I never went back. I should have done, shouldn't I? I forgot about it. If I didn't see that chuffing guy again, he probably got sacked. People were probably asking for like a shot of this, and you probably had the bottles out as if it were like chuffing grape. You know what I mean? Everyone probably noticed all supplies were chuffing disappearing, so chuffing rapidly, and overheads were starting to chuffing collapse. So they probably fried his ass. They probably sacked him. You know what I mean? You're too good at his chuffing job as far as tourism are concerned. But no, that's a good little chuffing whiskey, is that. Let me just quickly turn my chuffing paperwork over here. See if there's no chuffing else I can chuffing bore you to tears with, you know what I mean? Right. Oh, yeah. I just thought. I still remember the first sweets given to me by my grandfather. They were house bricks, and I was 3,642 years old, so there's that. And I've also wrote for you a little bit of chuffing poetry. I wrote this because I'm a chuffing poet. I'm not just a chuffing whiskey monger, and a chuffing tenor, and a chuffing, I burnt my shoulders as well, didn't I? Again, went to Lanzarote 2023, cremated my shoulders, done it again. I think I mentioned it on the last video, but for anybody that didn't watch that chuffing last video, when I was actually out there, I chuffing burnt me, chuffing fried me then again. It's getting out of chuffing, I need to be more careful. Right, this is called A Fish is Like a Person. Right, it goes, a fish is like a person, except that it's got gills. If you're really nice to them, they put you in their wills. A fish is like a person, except that it's got scales. It doesn't play with puppy dogs, it prefers to hang out with chuffing whales. A fish is like a person, but with great big chuffing goggly eyes. They'd rather eat more fishy things than steak and kidney pies. A fish is like a person, except that it lives in water. If you try to swim with them, they might nibble on your daughter. Son. But I didn't want to write because he didn't chuff it rhyme. So I decided to go for daughter. I ain't got a daughter, I've got a son. But I can't mention our child because it doesn't rhyme. It would be a complete, total and utter chuffing waste of chuffing time. So I decided to go with daughter. But, hey, I tell you what, I can't think off the top of my head anything else to chuffing tell you. Get the Cutty Sark chuffing, but if you go to Greece, you go to chuffing hang out with the chuffing Rhodesians, get yourself chuffing booked into chuffing Eden Rock Resort, chuffing Bew. And it's a nice island, I'm sure we're going back. Now, see you later, sun shines. Chuffing sweet tarts. Have a chuffing great day and a chuffing great life.